There are moments in life that stay with you, not because they were loud or violent, but because they were quiet. Too quiet, the kind of quiet that wraps around your throat and squeezes. This story happened 3 years ago. I've never told it publicly before. I'm only sharing it now because I think someone else might have seen him too. I had just moved into a small house in a quiet Iowa neighborhood. It was one of those suburbs where every lawn is perfectly green, every mailbox matches, and nothing bad ever happens. That's what I told myself, anyway. My first week was normal. Unpacking boxes. Studying for college. Watching the sunset from my second-story bedroom window. That's when I first noticed him. He stood under the big oak tree across the street. A man in a black hoodie, hands in his pockets. At first, I thought he was waiting for a bus. But there was no bus stop on my street. What made me pause was his face. He was smiling. Not a friendly smile, not even a threatening one. It was a wide, frozen grin, like his lips were carved that way, and he was looking directly at my window. I blinked, and when I looked again, he was gone. The next evening, around the same time, he was back. This time, he stood at the edge of my neighbor's lawn, still smiling, still facing my window. I told myself it was a coincidence. Maybe he lived nearby. Maybe he was just a strange man who liked to watch the sky. But on the third night, he moved closer. He was on my side of the street, standing next to my mailbox. That smile never changed. It didn't falter. It didn't twitch. It was like a mask glued to a face that had forgotten how to feel anything else. That night, I didn't open my curtains. I just sat on my bed, heart thumping, listening to the silence outside. The fourth night, I decided to confront my fear logically. I told myself he was probably harmless, a man with mental illness, maybe just socially awkward. So I peeked through the blinds. He was standing on my front lawn, right in the middle of the grass, his head tilted slightly, like a curious dog. But that smile, it was wider now. Or maybe it was the same. Maybe the shadows just made it look that way. I didn't sleep that night. I called my mom and told her I was feeling sick. She said to lock the doors and get some rest, but I didn't lock the doors. I just sat in the corner of my room, lights off, holding a kitchen knife. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. Not on the front door, not on the ground floor window. The sound came from directly beside me, my bedroom window. Deliberate, like a fingernail on glass. I froze. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I just stared at the dark rectangle of my window, waiting. Then I heard a voice, a whisper so soft I barely caught it. "I see you." I don't remember dialing 911. I just remember my phone was suddenly at my ear, a voice asking what my emergency was. I whispered that someone was outside my window. They said an officer was on the way. The tapping stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. When the police car pulled up, I finally ran downstairs and let them in. They searched the yard with flashlights. They found nothing. No footprints. No ladder. Just wet grass and a cold breeze. But then one officer called me outside. He shone his light on the grass directly below my window. The grass was flattened, not randomly, in 2 straight lines. Like a ladder had been laying there. And on the wooden windowsill, something was carved into the paint. A single smile. Just a curved line, deep enough to catch the light. I moved back into my parents' house the next day. I didn't pack everything. I just grabbed my laptop, some clothes, and left. I never went back for the rest. That night, and the nights that followed, I kept asking myself the same questions. Who was he? How did he get to that window? And why did he only smile? I've never found an answer. But sometimes, when I'm lying in bed 3 years later, I imagine I see that grin in my new room's window. And I remember that some smiles aren't friendly. Some are just hungry. If you're watching this, and you live in a quiet suburb, and you see a man standing on your lawn at dusk, smiling, don't look away, because he might just move closer. And please, let's not meet.